American Motors present Walt Disney's Disneyland.
And you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are.
Each week as you enter this timeless land, one of these many worlds will open to you. Tomorrowland, promise of things to come. Fantasyland, the happiest kingdom of them all. Frontierland, tall tales and true from the legendary past. Adventureland, the wonder world of nature's own realm. Presenting this week from Adventureland, Survival in Nature. Now, here is your host, Walt Disney.
In our true life adventure stories, there's a word that occurs time and time again. That's survival. For nature's world, survival is a word with many meanings. For instance, in our true life adventure feature, Secrets of Life, survival can even mean accuracy with a drop of water, for this is how the archerfish gets his food. In African Lion, another true life adventure feature, survival oftentimes lies in flight. This is true of the African antelopes, like the Thompson gazelle, the eland, and the impala. Over a period of years, we've come to appreciate more and more the wonder and wisdom of nature's infinite plan for the survival of her creatures. So, survival in nature is the story we're going to bring you on this program. And now, here's your guide and narrator, Winston Hibbler.
In the never-ending struggle for survival, every living thing has its own special problem. In order that her creatures may meet their problems, nature's given them an astounding assortment of age-old instincts, odd equipment, and special talents. But nature's never content to rest, and all across the face of her wilderness world, she's constantly changing, improving, and improvising. To Mother Nature, the quietest woods is a busy workshop. The boiling sea, a giant test tube. The African plain, an endless production line. The burning desert is a crucible. And the frozen wastes of the Arctic, a colossal proving grounds. In the limitless realm of the sky, nature conducts mass experiments in winged flight. And on a leaf in a stagnant pond, using only a single drop of water, she works her miracles in miniature. This is a tiny world that teems with life, and through the window of microphotography, we can watch some of the activity. The outstanding citizen here is the rotifer. He's one of the characters from our true life adventure feature, Secrets of Life. The rotifer spends practically all of his time dining on his neighbors. But this is part of nature's plan. If they were to multiply unchecked, they'd soon overrun the earth. The rotifer is smaller than a fleck of dust, too small for the naked eye to see. Yet it has the beginning of a brain, a mouth, a stomach, an egg sac holding thousands of eggs, and a single retractable foot. Although the rotifer's appetite never seems to change, it does have a pliable personality. One moment it's short and fat, and the next long and thin. But oddest of all, the rotifer carries in its mouth two sets of revolving brushes, making it nature's own version of the vacuum cleaner. In designing special equipment for survival, nature works many wonders in the plant world, too. For instance, these scenes taken from our true life feature, Secrets of Life, demonstrate how the wild oat is able to grow and reproduce without any help from man. This is because nature gives the oat seeds appendages called awns. The awns writhe and twist until the ripe seeds break loose from the mother plant. On the ground, the awns continue their spasmodic action, propelling the seeds first to a suitable location, then driving them deep into the soil. Most flowering plants, including many species of cactus, reproduce by pollination, and most of them need a touch of sun to bring forth their blossoms. But the night-blooming cereus has a fragile flower that will flourish only during the cool hours of darkness. As the blossom unfolds to bestow its fragrance and its pollen on the desert air, the time-lapse camera records the full cycle of this strange secret of life. Down among the weeds and the wildflowers, nature has devised many curious patterns for the survival of her insects. This is the industrious dung beetle, and while he's still a bachelor, he starts gathering the waste material that will be the food for his future family. Whenever the supply gets too big to handle, the dung beetle starts cutting corners, for nature's taught him that it's a lot easier to roll a round object than drag a square one. The young bachelor soon picks up a hitchhiker, a female who wants to help him keep the ball rolling. Courtship is carried out along the way, and after her head-over-heels romance, the female will lay a single egg within the ball, and these humble dung beetles will have done their part to ensure the survival of the species. In training her creatures for survival, nature often ventures into the complex sciences of architecture and engineering. Some of the most accomplished construction engineers are the tent caterpillars who spin their houses from silk. The caterpillars live on a diet of green leaves and so must move about from one tree to another. To help them pass safely over rough and dangerous ground, nature has taught them to lay out an elaborate system of webs, an elevated superhighway, complete with intricate underpasses and cloverleaf crossovers. In providing ways to escape from danger, nature taught her bird world to fly. Yet there must have been a time when nature herself wondered if she'd ever get some of her birds off the ground. Even today, the albatross, or goonie, is actually earthbound, unless he has a headwind. Each separate flight is such a spectacular event, it attracts attention all over Goonie land. Yet once off the ground, the albatross flies well, and in the broad sweep of his strong wings, he finds that nature has given him one of the greatest of all aids to survival. Here's another flyer, however, that really can't fly at all, the flying squirrel. But his special survival equipment is a marvel of simplicity. Nature just gave him more skin than body, and so when he really extends himself, he combines all the better qualities of a sailplane and a parachute. flying squirrel feeds on insects. But he's one of the few animals unable to swim. And so when his prey is near water, he must really look before he leaps. He carefully lines up his target, corrects for windage, and it's very seldom this furry missile misses. Sometimes a tough exterior conceals a timid soul within. To protect the armadillo, one of the mildest of creatures, nature has devised the very best in defensive armament. In fact, it's so efficient that the armadillo has survived almost unchanged since the age of dinosaurs. Armadillos feed on insects, and a colony of grubs calls for their undivided attention. To a hungry coyote on the prowl, this looks like a golden opportunity. There's a square meal in this family circle, if he can just get at it. Even with armor plating, an orderly retreat is the best defense. But the gem at the subway traps Papa on the outside, and he hasn't time to dig himself to safety. To the frustrated coyote, this is rather like attacking an old Gladstone bag. Yet the coyote's sharp teeth can dent even the toughest leather. So the armadillo waits for an opening, and when he sees a chance, he runs. The coyote's puzzled, but persistent. He'll head him off above the falls. But rough water doesn't faze the armadillo. His shell serves as a leather bumper, and his intestines are actually inflatable. So he merely swallows great quantities of air and becomes buoyant. With armor plating, surprising speed, and built-in pontoons, the armadillo itself is a whole chapter in the story of survival. Faced with such a combination of equipment, the coyote grudgingly concedes defeat. High in the lonesome country near the northern rim of the world, our naturalist photographers are filming a true-life adventure, the Arctic wilderness. In this land of deep lakes and deeper silences, existence isn't easy. Yet our photographers have found the Arctic wilderness is nature's wilderness too. And here too her creatures survive. This little fellow is called the pika. He looks like a rabbit. In fact, he almost is a rabbit. He's an alpine cousin of the hare. But the point is, he doesn't act like a rabbit. In the pika's tiny body, nature has concentrated a wealth of age-old instincts, and they emerge as a unique behavior pattern designed for survival. The pika is a harvester. His crops are twigs and leaves, ferns and grass. Throughout the short summer growing season, everything green he gathers. Of course, every good farmer knows that hay must be dry before it's stored. So the piker cures his harvest in the sun outside his cave. He's much too busy for social life, just an occasional chat with his neighbor about the crops and the weather. This time, the forecast is for increasing high cloudiness, followed by snow. Now, there's a last-minute flurry of activity as the food from the late harvest is carried into the piker's tiny underground hayloft. The seasons turn quickly in this high country, and soon the little harvester is completely snowbound. But he's well prepared. Deep beneath the drifts, he'll be snug and secure, warm and well fed for all the winter months to come. The Story of the Sea is another true life adventure feature that we're preparing for the motion picture theaters. And here on the shores of the Pacific, our naturalist photographers came upon one of the rarest of ocean-going mammals, the sea otter. This species, once almost exterminated by fur hunters, is now government protected. In order to survive, however, the otter has another basic problem that he must solve for himself: food. His favorite dish is abalone, for this one-shell shellfish is a ready-made blue plate, easily devoured. But whenever he must dine on oysters and mussels, he finds them double-locked against even his powerful jaws. But here again, nature provides the key by teaching the otter a simple but effective trick. Up from the ocean floor, he brings a rock, places it on his chest, and then proceeds to crack open the shellfish with all the skill of an oysterman in a fish market. His meal over, the otter settles down for a nap, while the seagulls move in to clear the scraps from his dining room. And so throughout her many realms, nature works unceasingly, forging the tools for survival. But how she's equipped her creatures to find their daily food and escape from their predators is only the first chapter in our story of survival in nature. In the great bowl of the sky, nature brews a tempest, and the roll of her thunder foretells the scenes of violence to come. For in the story of survival, this is the chapter devoted to war. There are many kinds of conflict in nature, but there's nothing to equal the fury of the war between the elements themselves. With whips of lightning, nature lashes the plain. When the rains come to cool the earth, it's only an interlude, for the shower soon turns to a cloudburst, and the cloudburst to catastrophe. Now earth and water are the adversaries, as the raging flood carves a new face on the land. Against the elemental forces of nature, the animals are outmatched. There's nothing they can do but share their mutual misery and wait until the emergency is past. Always working on a grand scale, nature has another potent tool for creating chaos among her creatures: the desert sandstorm. The natural streamlining of the Sidewinder helps him hold his own against the fury of the wind. But some of the lesser crawling things, although they have the shape, lack the weight. A family of pocket mice. Mother makes a run for it, home and safety. Quick to follow her lead are babies number 1 and 2. But baby number 3 waits too long. He loses mother's scent. Now he's blind and helpless. And if he should be buried alive by the flying sand, he's much too young and weak to dig himself out again. But luck is with him. By sheer chance, he stumbles over the right hill and finds the burrow. With the calm of morning, the whole face of the desert has changed. Burrows are covered over, food trails obliterated, and this creates a serious problem. For many animals jealously guard their feeding and breeding grounds. And in nature's great battle for survival, some of the most bitter skirmishes are fought over these territorial rights. Displaced by the storm, this kangaroo rat wonders briefly where the sandhill came from. Then he stakes his claim and squeaks defiance to all would-be trespassers. He doesn't have long to wait for a claim jumper. But in the end, justice is served. The first comer holds his own, and the loser, if he can't have a home on the hill, will settle for a flat in the basement. But he only succeeds in digging up more trouble. The cellar, it seems, was already occupied. If the horned toad had a voice, which he hasn't, he'd give the rat a piece of his mind, if he had a mind, which he doesn't. But anyway, his actions are plain enough. He just doesn't want a rat for a roommate. By now, the rat realizes he never should have brought the matter up in the first place. And so he covers up his mistake and puts an end to the argument. A witness to the squabble is Skinny, the little squirrel our naturalist photographers first met when they filmed the story of the living desert. In this matter of territorial rights, Skinny is about to discover that he too has a problem. A leopard lizard has taken over the hollow under Skinny's rock. The shady spot is Skinny's favorite napping place, where he takes his noonday siesta. But to the lizard, shade is a matter of life or death, for he's a cold-blooded animal and would soon die under the direct rays of the sun. And so to the lizard, at least, this is more than a skirmish over territorial rights. This is an all-out fight for life. The adversaries are well matched. Skinny has the size and the weight, but the lizard has the killer instinct and needle-sharp teeth. His best weapon is a lightning-quick nip to the nose. Skinny, on the other hand, excels at the infighting. But in the end, for all his fighting heart, it's Skinny who breaks off the hostilities. And once again, in this little battle for survival, nature has weighed her values well. From now on, the squirrel may sleep a little less, but safe in his spot of shade, the lizard will live longer. Conflict over territorial rights is by no means confined to the smaller animals. The bigger animals just have bigger battles. This quarter section of desert is the private hunting preserve of a cantankerous creature known as the coati-mundi, and he's well equipped for hunting. Sharp teeth, strong jaws, and a nose ideally designed for turning up a meal. What's more, this self-appointed game warden is omnivorous, which simply means you name it, he'll eat it. The coati is even immune to the toxic poison of a scorpion's sting. To him, it merely sharpens the insect's flavor. There is one desert dweller that the coati leaves strictly alone, the rattlesnake. With his formidable reputation, the coati has few poachers on his preserve. But today, quite by accident, one of his distant cousins happens by. This is the cacomissile, or ring-tailed cat. If he's looking for a welcome here, he's about to get a warm one. The little cat finds temporary safety in a hollow saguaro log. Inside, there's room for ringtails only, and a portion of the coati's nose. It was just bite size. The ringtail would like to quit while he's ahead, but the coati's pride, as well as his nose, has been wounded, and he wants a taste of revenge. Well, the quickest way out of this is straight down. The coati's not so nimble. He takes the stairs. Now, this looks like little more than a game of tag, but to the adversaries, it's serious business. And since the ringtail can neither outrun nor outclimb his pursuer, he may be in for some real trouble. But the whims of nature are unpredictable, and so is her sense of humor. In fact, this time, she even lets the underdog, or rather the undercat, deliver the finishing stroke. A decisive nip to his enemy's snout. Well, twice is once too many. The coati would rather lose all of his realm than even a small part of his precious nose. And tonight, after such a harrowing experience, he's quite content to dine on cactus instead of cat. In the battle for survival, another cause for conflict is the endless search for food. Oftentimes, the adversaries are greatly overmatched. In this case, one defenseless garter snake against a team of roadrunners. As a rule, though, the roadrunner prefers to hunt alone. And on his list of preferred foods, the lizard rates especially high. But the lizard knows a little trick that helps him save his leathery skin. He simply hides under a cholla cactus. His tough hide protects him from the sharp spines, but when the unwary bird tries to kick him loose, he gets a thorn in his foot, a sharp reminder that nature provides for all her species. This upright little citizen carries the impressive name of Eleodes tenebrionidae. He's also called the stink bug. Whenever he appears on the scene, most of the other desert dwellers suddenly remember they have business elsewhere. The vapor of a stink bug is extra vile, and a curious kangaroo rat gets it full blast. It's an overpowering experience. The odor won't even scrape off. If he weren't fastened inside this fur coat, he'd bury it forever. But when it comes to offensive weapons, this fellow is really high caliber. And obviously the little stink bug is about to find himself outgunned. To the skunk, any insect is fair game. The trouble is this beetle just isn't fair. In fact, his tactics are very foul indeed. In the great battle for survival, lighter moments and little skirmishes are rare indeed. More often there's violence and sudden death. For the need to survive is the need for food, and so everywhere in nature, the hunted and the hunter is a ruthless and recurring drama. Then, too, the need to survive is the need to propagate, and so the mating combats. In our story of survival, these surging battles on the mating grounds lead us to the young in nature, the third and final chapter. The young in nature represent the ultimate in survival insurance. For each newborn creature is another guarantee that the species will endure. Now, of course, wherever there are babies, mother love usually plays an important part. Take the meadow mouse, for instance. Here's a little mother who specializes in big families, as many as 14 litters a year, with an average of 7 babies each, and every one a problem child. Today, somebody's kicked the slats out of the cradle and they've all fallen out of bed. When mother unscrambles the mix-up and counts noses, she finds that baby number 6 is missing. She looks everywhere. She even checks under the mattress. But, as it turns out, number 6 was there all the time, and proves it by falling out of bed again. She's having as much trouble as the old woman in the shoe. And there's more on the way in the form of Daddy Mouse. At this stage of domestic affairs, he has no place in the household. And so his advances are met with a cold nose and a hot temper. This is not the tunnel of love, it seems. During the scuffle, baby number 6 fell out of bed once again. And now number 7's missing. Mother checks the spare bedroom. Then in, she tucks number 6 in once more and finds number 7 is toddled upstairs. But finally, the mystery of the missing mice is cleared up. And now it's lunchtime. With such a hectic schedule, it would seem that Mother is the family member least likely to survive. But she does, and in time takes her little brood into the world above the burrow. Since this is their first trip afield, Mother's very careful. She nurses them along. Although in size she's among the tiniest of mammals, in the matter of mother love, the meadow mouse is second to none. In preparing another true life adventure about the islands of the sea, our photographers came upon the tiny remote Falkland Islands that lie in the South Atlantic. And here they found the Gentoo penguin. In a colony of penguins, every able-bodied citizen is responsible for feeding the youngsters, mother, brother, father, or friend. As a rule, this species has twins, and during the pin feather stage, they need the close personal supervision of mother. In fact, she's excused only to join the food committee when it sets out for the day's shrimp fishing. In their extra-large stomachs, the feathered anglers will bring back enough food for all the small fry, which includes these teenagers, almost full-grown, but still too young to brave the dangers of the deep. When the old folks finally bring the shore dinner ashore, anything can happen, and it usually does. Some of the adults play hard to get. Having caught it, they're going to keep it. Here's an old bachelor in full flight with a full load of shrimp aboard. Still, youth must be served, and at last the old-timer gives out, gives in, and gives up. And whatever it was he mixed with that shrimp cocktail, it was plenty potent. On the Serengeti Plains of Africa, the realm of the African lion, the grazing animals walk a fine line between life and death. But here, too, nature tips the balance in favor of survival. This little Thompson's gazelle, only minutes old, was endowed at birth with a gift called precociousness, or rapid early development. It's a physical as well as a mental process. Like a flower, his ears unfold, ready and alert for the sound of danger. A few minutes more and he finds his wobbly legs and takes his first step. But just walking isn't good enough. To survive in lion country, you must run. And as soon as he gets his legs working as good as his tail, his problem will be solved. Mrs. Topi Antelope has a precocious child, too. But if he doesn't find his feet in a hurry, both mother and baby are in for trouble. For while he was being born, the rest of the herd has moved on, and these stragglers are an open invitation to the African lion. When mother sets the example and moves on, the baby instinctively, if not too steadily, follows in her footsteps. By the time they catch up with the rest of the herd, the miracle of precociousness has given the youngster strength. And from now on, he'll be able to show his heels to the hungry lions that continually stalk the herd. And now, from big cat country in Africa to bobcat country in the southwestern United States. But everywhere in nature, babies have their problems just growing up. As a rule, Mother Bobcat prefers to hunt at night, but today food supplies are low, and so she must work around the clock. She's scarcely out of sight, and already the youngsters are bored. After all, it's a bright, wonderful world outside, and even kittens get tired of catnapping. A ground squirrel proves a fascinating discovery. Later on, when the bobcats are grown, this little rodent will be one of the main items in their diet. But right now, he has nothing to worry about. For it's a paradox that almost all of the young in nature are harmless to each other. Of course, every rule has its exception, and the squirrel is safe only as long as he stands up and stands still. For instinct and mother's training have taught the kittens to strike at sudden movements. And these youngsters could turn from playmates to predators in an instant. But nothing can hold a baby's attention for long. Besides, brothers found something even more fascinating. To the kittens, the bull snake appears to be just a tail. And of course, everyone knows tails are made to be cuffed. But after a few trial taps, instinct tells them that this is no ordinary tail. This is something to be feared. Now they strike viciously with claws bared. And so the kittens have learned a basic rule for survival. Always strike first and strike hard. A kitten catching a catnap could be quite a catch for this fox. Although he's small, the fox is deadly, more than a match for both the youngsters. But right in the nick of time, help appears from an unexpected quarter. Now, the spotted skunk isn't really a good neighbor. He's just a local sport who enjoys a fox chase now and then. But the wise fox isn't having any of this. He retires in complete disorder. By now it's obvious that next to mother, a skunk is just about the best friend a baby bobcat can find. So when another black and white animal happens along, the little cat pauses to consider only briefly, then welcomes him with open paws. But it soon turns out that the newcomer is decidedly antisocial. For a few moments, the little cat gives a good account of himself. But the skunk has the superior weapon. And once he shoots the works, the bobcat has no defense. And so in this day of many lessons, surely this last will have the most lasting effect. High in the Uinta Mountains of Utah, we found the ideal setting for our new feature-length true-life adventure fantasy, Perry, the story of a squirrel. This dense mountain forest shelters a wide variety of birds and animals, and many species play out their true-life roles in our motion picture. In the Perry story, the raccoon's part is a minor one. But in nature, all animals are equally important. And to the baby raccoons, mother is certainly the leading character in their lives. Right now, she's putting the youngsters back in their proper place. They've been caught peering out the front door. Risky business. for this penthouse apartment is in a very rough neighborhood. As a matter of fact, here comes a troublemaker now. Mrs. Raccoon sees the danger and prepares to meet it, for she knows that the marten is a vicious killer, small in size, but a big threat to the survival of her young. The cubs are worried. They've never seen Mom in action before, and when the marten turns and launches a counterattack, somebody just has to lend a helping paw. Mother, of course, is well able to take care of herself. But how about her hapless helper? Who's to help him? Not the twins. This is very embarrassing. He'd planned to plunge into the battle head-on, but it looks like he's going to drop in stern first. Well, this is it, the point of no return. The law of gravity finally catches up with him. Fortunately, about this time, Mother also catches up with the marten, and the little killer calls it quits. With the same sharp teeth and powerful jaws that would have crushed the marten, Mother's touch is light and gentle as she rescues the little fallen hero. Part fury and ferocity, part tenderness and devotion. Such is the miracle of mother love. A mysterious and vital force that nature uses throughout all her realms to guide and protect the young, so that each, in keeping with her plan, may join the mighty pageant of survival. With these young in nature, our story of survival comes to a close. And yet nature's story can never end. For with these new generations, infinite in kind, endless in number, a promise is made again and again that nature is indestructible and everlasting, that her wonders will endure forever.
Next week's show will come to you from Fantasyland. Now, here are a few of the highlights.
Next week, from Fantasyland, Walt Disney brings you the Goofy Sports Story. The hilarious saga of Goofy, rampaging through the world of sports. In football, you'll see Goofy.
That great All-American star, triple threat scat back. Look at him go. They can't touch him. He can really carry the mail, that boy. Look at that open field running. Look at that straight arm. He's away, and he's over for a touchdown. Well, it isn't often you see this happen. 105 yards to a touchdown on the opening kickoff. Now here's the try for the extra point, and the kick is good. And the score is 7-0.
In the gym, you'll learn the secret of Goofy sports prowess. Exercise, conditioning. And when winter comes, the intrepid Goofy climbs an Alp to show his incredible skill as he conquers the steepest slopes. It's World Series time. And who is the baseball hero of the hour? Why, Goofy, of course.
It's up to the pitcher. $500,000 and the World Series hinge on this pitch. It's a terrific hit! Old Apple. The runner tears for first and the crowd is going absolutely mad. It's a high fly to center field. The outfielder comes in fast. The runner tears around first base with another man home, and the score is tied. There goes the winning runner on third. It's a race for home plate. Slide, slide. This is going to be close.
Yes, Goofy, our all-round athletic hero, carries high the precious flame of sportsmanship in the Olympics, too. An all-around athlete, a colorful, aggressive, hard-hitting competitor, a phenomenal champion in all sports. Next week, from Fantasyland, laugh and thrill with Goofy in The Goofy Sports Story. Next week, Disneyland will be brought to you by Kelvin. Fantasia is coming your way. Look in your newspaper for theater and date when you will be able to see Fantasia, Walt Disney's show of 1,000 wonders. Fantasia on the wide Super Scope screen, all in color by Technicolor. Motion picture entertainment every member of the family will want to see again and again. Fantasia has cartoon fun and fantasy, color, excitement, and the world's most thrilling music. Watch for Walt Disney's Fantasia at your favorite theater. This has been an ABC Television Network film presentation.